to stream.
Boom.
All right, here we go. I think we're in.
How about that? We got backgrounds and green screens and bananas back there.
There we go. All right.
Oh, snap. Look at that. It did both.
It did.
It did
both. It did both. Do you like your angle over on Instagram?
I'm good.
You're good there?
It
Okay.
doesn't matter.
All right.
Those people,
So,
they don't even like us that much.
Exactly. So
you can't say exactly that.
Oh well. All right. I am just crazy focused on the fact that we have everything looking fairly strong and live here on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. TikTok, we're gonna try it next time.
We're really good at counting.
We're really gonna figure it out. We're gonna spend some time. We're gonna put our best people on it, just like they're right over there. They do all of our R&D, our research, our analytics when I'm not doing analytics. So we have a great group of support, and you are our greatest support, being the viewer and subscriber and everything.
Hey,
yeah.
Who are you?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm STEVE M3TR1CS of No Debate Sports, and this
DJTRIGGS.
And together we are No Debate Sports.
Oh man, I messed that up.
You did?
It's your boy.
Oh, it's your boy,
DJTRIGGS.
DJTRIGGS. Exactly. You gotta say it like that.
Wait, what kind of belt buckle are we
doing?
The
belt
today?
buckle. Today we are going Scooby-Doo.
Oh,
exactly. We're going the Doo. Scooby-Doo, the Doo. So that is definitely an awesome belt. We probably got some promotional ad revenue thinking of something.
We gotta get.
We'll figure. We'll do some with belt buckles.
The
STEVE M3TR1CS belt buckles for No Debate Sports. Boom. We'll figure this out. We definitely got this.
Hey, James, are you gonna buy a STEVE M3TR1CS belt buckle?
I don't know.
I need that answer.
We'll see. Exactly.
Oh, we got multiple people live.
So we got a lot of people live showing up. So good stuff. Thank you everyone for that. So yeah, we got a lot of things going on, especially NBA. The post draft stuff. Got some. You got some Victor Wembanyama movement. Some guys that you like, Triggs. Who you got?
I mean, my post was wrong about Chris Paul.
Okay.
I was very upset about that.
Okay.
No idea why he went to Golden State. Besides get off that Jordan Poole contract.
Could you go online and purchase a Chris Paul Washington Wizards jersey?
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's right up there with the LaDainian Tomlinson Minnesota Vikings jersey. I've heard that actually exists.
It should.
It does exist.
An LT Vikings jersey would be like,
yes, because I think he was dealt to Minnesota before being dealt to the Jets. It was basically just like Chris Paul moving to the Wizards. Then obviously the Wizards were not his final destination.
So like a Brett Favre backwards situation.
Yeah, like a very weird Brett Favre backwards situation. But hey, LT played pretty darn well with the Jets. So
the man.
Yeah, I'm not going to be putting my stake in the sand saying that is how it goes with Aaron Rodgers. I am not seeing that.
We're not supposed to talk Aaron Rodgers.
I know we're not
ever.
That. Nah.
Ever,
that's for another. That's for another day, another show.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. There you go. There you go.
So let's see. So Victor Wembanyama, right?
Yep.
So the Spurs have a ton of cap space.
Okay.
And on top of that, they have a ton of assets.
Gotcha.
So they could go out and get maybe a DeMar DeRozan.
And wasn't DeMar DeRozan already in the San Antonio Spurs?
DeMar DeRozan would be nice, though.
Gotcha.
So even bringing a guy like that, or if you go to the Raptors and bring in Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, that's another big guy. I mean, you definitely have to add more to that physical inside presence.
Of course. But, I mean, they've already got Vasil out there.
Okay.
They've got a core. They really need a point guard, though, which is why I was really big on them bringing in Chris Paul.
Okay.
But now I'm hearing Fred VanVleet might go to Houston. So that's kind of out the question.
Is James Harden still more than likely directing himself back to Houston?
No, I think he's going to stay with the Sixers.
He stays with Philly? Yeah.
Just because now you got Tobias Harris out there talking a lot of mess. Maybe he goes to the Spurs. because he can play off ball, he can shoot.
Sure.
I mean, as he said in his crumble cookie video, that he shoots about 40% from three. So like with Victor Wembanyama out there, you want like guys that can shoot around him, almost like a Giannis presence.
Right.
Like let that guy just do his thing. Like he's good at passing, dribbling, shooting.
Right.
Get some shooters out there.
Yeah.
Boom. But point guard's probably a big one. I mean, there's not really any good point guards out there.
Well, that's where I really get the feeling that, like, looking at a guy like Chris Middleton, I saw this on ESPN. I saw how they designated Chris Middleton. They designated him as a shooting forward.
Yes.
And to me, that is, when it comes to positions of some of these players, I mean, I look at a Chris Middleton and I see, boom, that's a guard. And honestly, with Milwaukee, I felt like that's a guy who should have been running the point, not Giannis coming up court being the big size that he is. I want to see a point guard. I want to see a Chris Paul. I want to see a guy, a Steph Curry, a LeBron James to an aspect, because LeBron James basically is a quarterback like Chris Paul. That's what I want to see. The Milwaukee Bucks never really had a true quarterback who was running the point.
Yeah, I know.
And
I've been pushing for that for like 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Michael Redd was okay at it,
but he was a two guard.
Yeah, and Ray Allen was just a pure shooter.
Yeah, with Sam Cassell at the time.
Yeah, Sam Cassell would run it.
One.
Yeah, he ran it.
I mean, we had TJ Ford, which some people out there love TJ Ford.
I loved him at Texas.
But horrible.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Brandon Jennings, but he was more of like a small shooting guard.
Right.
Right. And then, you know, you had like Damon Jones, or like Mo Williams was here for a while.
Sure.
But yeah, I could talk about the Bucks all day.
But that's where I fall into this this very interesting intrigue of these players who have these designations to them that I feel are kind of different. Like maybe even like a guy like a Kyle Lowry or a Marcus Smart. If a team goes small in size, aren't those guys essentially the center, even though they're our height?
Right.
They're like a combination of a center and a guard to an aspect.
To an extent. I can see what you're saying there. That's why the Spurs are so dynamic. With the new CBA, you actually have to spend 90% of your cap.
Yes.
And they probably shouldn't be taking anymore. Like
no.
They're gonna be a play-in team.
Absolutely.
Sure. So
absolutely.
I mean, like Zach LaVine might be out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a point guard, but
he's a forward.
He can ball.
Yeah. When I look at Zach LaVine, that's a guy who really drives the ball up court. He's got that Russell Westbrook drive push mentality. And you need that. You need that pace of play. You need that tempo, and you need guys who can just flat out score. So I like that.
Then I also think of like a campaign, maybe.
Okay.
But like, there's really no point guards out there that are, I mean, Russell Westbrook to the Spurs.
Right. And a guy like Cameron Payne too, like I still feel like that guy's still developing.
Yeah.
Like I want to say that guy was at Duke or North Carolina.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's one of those two. And he played very well in college, but he's still in that developmental stage of like really, really honing your skills.
Right.
Like we saw Grayson Allen do what he did. So I like a Cameron Payne, but like you still need to see that growth out of him. And that's not a guy I would really want to build around yet.
Right. And I mean, even with the Spurs, I don't think they're going to find exactly who they want. That's why I was so interested in Chris Paul going there. Okay. Because a 1 or 2 year deal, like he's old. So he's not going to play forever.
Right.
So, but at that point, he can teach Victor Wembanyama how to play in the NBA.
Okay.
And even like I mean, it might be crazy, but Russell Westbrook next to this guy, like Lob City 2.0.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Westbrook's never really had a big like him. I mean, Steven Adams, kind of.
Okay.
Or like Anthony Davis to a certain extent. But I don't know. Spurs could be really weird. They could either be really, really good or like, yeah.
Well, I like if we roll the tape back and we really saw the progression of the Spurs, it really began with David Robinson.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of Tim Duncan's career. So really what would have to happen, like you say, with Pascal Siakam, you need that established big-bodied presence to develop and mature the future of a Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
So, And yes, I mean, I think a lot of people are really, when they look at Victor Wembanyama, you're obviously thinking Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And then when it comes to your concern of health, you're probably starting to bring in the Taco Fall of, I mean, I love that guy at Central Florida. He's on the Celtics back end of the roster, but you definitely have to be concerned about that frame.
Right.
And I think a guy with like a Glenn Robinson kind of archetype would really help mentor that player. And I know Wemby's got really great mentorship around him already,
right.
but I think you need that on-court presence, almost like that Jeff Green with the Nuggets, how you saw that mentorship.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed seeing how Jeff Green mentored Aaron Donald. And now the Aaron Donald that we all saw, or Aaron Gordon, my bad, the Aaron Gordon that we all grew up with in Florida in the Orlando Magic, we all wanted to see the player that we see with the Denver Nuggets back then. It took time. It took time to develop.
And he's not a number one. And in Orlando, he was a number one.
And he was too young.
Yeah,
way too young. Yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, with a young team like the Spurs, and even with the Rockets,
right?
And like the Magic.
Yep.
Like, even though they're stockpiling these great, talented young guys,
sure,
they're not going to win because they don't have any depth, and there's no veteran presence. Like, I mean, you saw how far Miami went.
Yeah.
Miami had not to be mean, but a bunch of second-round picks.
Okay.
And, like, that veteran presence of Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, like, and even Udonis Haslem.
Sure.
Like, that goes a long way.
Gotcha.
It teaches you how to play really fast.
Right.
Because if you're battling Jimmy Butler every single day in practice, you're going to get better because he's trying to, like, smash you.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. Spurs are, like, I'm hoping, like, this might be a pipe dream, but even a Kyrie Irving.
Sure.
Like, that could really work.
Yeah, you got to, and obviously to me, I think a young team that has very bright future potential at some point is going to attract free agents. Look at the NFL. What happened with Patrick Mahomes? People flocked to him.
Right. Your
Juju Smith-Schusters of the world flocked to Kansas City. You saw it back in the day with Tom Brady and the Patriots. You had guys coming from Danny Amendola coming from Miami Dolphins going to the Patriots because of the greatness of Tom Brady.
Right.
You're going to see that with teams, I think, and going to the NFL realm. My pipe dream is I want to see a guy like DeAndre Hopkins possibly join the Eagles in the same sense that, hey, this is a really cool young up and coming team.
My gosh.
Like, it's not about in the world being truly the number one and number two. And you go to our site, check out our fantasy depth tracker. You see this because you put DeAndre Hopkins on Philadelphia, he instantly becomes the slot receiver number one.
Yeah.
So it's not about being the two or the three. It's, are you the one or the two outside? And are you the true number one inside in the slot? That's the power that I see. And when it comes to a team like your San Antonio Spurs, how are they going to bring in those kind of talents to fit those pieces in the right kind of way?
Right.
And is a Kyrie Irving truly, you got to go back to personality and you got to go to leadership. This is a team that is built in the Patriot way of, do we have the right kind of leadership to really allow this team to grow, where a guy like DeMar DeRozan is a leader.
A really solid
player. It's a very solid player and a leader. That's the perfect kind of archetype. I even think too, with what has gone on in Chicago, they've really had their kind of ups and downs. I really like that team a lot, but they've had really rough, weird injury things happen to that team.
Yeah.
Where a guy like you talk about, like Zach LaVine or an Alex Caruso, is really an awesome player and has gone through the ups and downs of injuries. They've seen what they've lost with Lonzo Ball. That's the kind of stuff where it's like, man, this is a team that can really get you grizzled and get you to that Miami Heat culture.
But that's even one of those teams where, like, Chicago always bugs me. Like, when you look at Chicago, they have, what, 3 or 4 20-point scorers.
Okay.
Like, Vucevic was a 20-point scorer.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, 20-point scorer. DeMar DeRozan, 20-point scorer.
Yep.
Like, so you're sitting there looking at all these players, and then you go, why don't you guys win?
Oh, yeah. And even like the final years of Nick Nurse in Toronto with like the Fred VanVleets of the world, the Kyle Lowrys of the world, that team had 5 guys who could all load up for like 20 points. Pascal Siakam. That roster, granted, they never had one true bona fide like Steph Curry kind of player, but they were loaded with 20s.
When they had Kawhi, that's how they won the championship.
Exactly.
Because they needed one guy. I always say this with any team. I mean, NFL, NBA, MLB, it could be Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
You need one guy that literally can
takes
just go
over.
off.
Yes.
I mean, Jimmy Butler did it to the Bucks.
Yes.
You know,
yes, he did.
And so
Jason Tatum as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. But he was that against Milwaukee. Like somehow something with him triggers to an extent. But you need that just overbearing presence on a team.
And that's why a lot of these super teams don't work, is because when it comes to that time, look at Kyrie and Luka.
Yep.
Like when they play together, literally in crunch time, they pass the ball and then they sit there and wait.
Yes.
And then they're like, okay, I'm going to go sit in this corner and let you do your thing. And then he comes up, makes the pass. He goes, sits in the corner. You do your thing. And it's like,
yeah,
you need guys that literally mesh.
Yes, you need the chemistry. And I've always wondered about that in Dallas with Luka Doncic. Like, it's clearly not working with Kyrie Irving, and you definitely didn't work with Kristaps Porzingis. Is this another guy who's basically like almost like Russell Westbrook-esque of, hey, I can score 1,000,000 points, but if I score 1,000,000 points, the rest of the team doesn't, and you don't have that mesh.
Actually, you know what? I thought about one other player.
Well, what do you think about?
Paul George to the Spurs.
Yes. That is that big body veteran presence who's been through a lot of interesting situations.
And he can hoop.
Like, absolutely.
When it comes down to it, he could put 30 up.
Yeah, there was a little stretch in the past season where he was the best player in basketball for like a little bit.
Yeah, like that guy can go off. And with the Clippers, the Spurs have enough pieces.
Gotcha.
Now, you probably don't have to give a bunch of draft picks because Paul George is, to be honest, he's injury prone.
Okay.
So maybe you give a couple pieces and one draft pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're out of that age where we give up 4 picks for Rudy Gobert. That's never happening
pretty
again.
Nuts.
I mean, look at the Brad Beal and the Chris Pauls and even John Collins.
Yeah.
Like, those deals aren't big time deals.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, Spurs could be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they could definitely be a real up and coming team. I mean, you have those teams at the bottom, like the Portlands, the San Antonios, the Sacramentos that rose to the world.
Not Portland.
Well, I know, but they were at the back end where it's like, hey, is someone going to rise up? And you have to move up, but you also have to bring someone back down in order to get up there. And I think Dallas is one of those teams that you can take down a peg.
Do the Spurs take Dame? I actually lied.
Dame Lillard would be awesome as well.
Out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, now, if you were the Spurs, and again, it's perfect because Dame's going to give you, let's say, like 3 years of Dame, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time that Wembanyama comes up on that next contract, on that extension, Dame is probably going to be done with basketball.
Yeah.
So you'll know if Wemby's good and ready to like lead a team.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's solid.
Beauty part of Dame Lillard is, I want to say he is like the longest player who has ever had consecutive all-star teams from the very beginning of his career. I don't know if he made it this last. I think he did, but he was hurt, so he didn't play.
Yeah.
But Dame Lillard has qualified for every single all-star game since coming out of college. I think he was, Kansas State?
No.
Or was it?
No.
Oh, you might be right. Some like small.
Wish I could.
All right, we're gonna put our best people on it. If someone could comment in our streams and say, "Hey, where did Dame Lillard go to college?" We would greatly appreciate that, because our best people, we might not be paying them enough, So
that kills me.
Yeah,
it's like on the tip of my tongue. I know exactly what it is, and I can't
exactly. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
You know what? Emoni Bates.
Drafted
to Cleveland.
Okay, that's a cool. I call Cleveland the college all-star team of the East, but like in the best possible way, especially with what they got going there. Donovan Mitchell,
Garland, Mitchell, Emoni Bates, Allen, and Mobley.
Oh. But do they have the size?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got 2 centers.
Okay.
That both start.
Good.
Jared Allen and Evan Mobley.
Okay. That's what they needed.
Oh my goodness! I mean, they were there last year too. They had a big four,
right?
And everyone thought they were gonna, smash New York, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
But, man, Emoni Bates on that type of team, and Donovan Mitchell apparently has been good friends with him for the last couple of years.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a good spot, good chemistry, good leadership with Cleveland. Cleveland is absolutely going to be a top 4 Eastern Conference playoff team,
at least.
Especially with those moves they got. Just really, really great ownership and great general management. Basically, post LeBron, they really totally rehauled that roster in the best possible way.
You know what I'm thinking about? Cool. G.G. Jackson.
Yeah, G.G. Jackson out of South Carolina. Yep.
Oh, Memphis.
Okay.
Of all teams, I think he went, 45 to Memphis? Memphis is like a shell.
Right.
I mean, Desmond Bain, sure, but Ja Morant's not going to be there for what? Like half the season?
You're looking at probably 25 games.
Yeah.
And the NBA season is how many games? 80?
82.
Okay, so yeah, you're looking at roughly a
third or fourth.
A third or fourth. Yep.
Like, so this guy's going to be able to get some playing time
as
long as he comes in balling.
Okay.
He should.
Gotcha.
But, man, those two guys they got perfect places they went where they could light it up.
Yeah.
And they're good teams. So it's not like they're just going to go to some like Orlando where they're just playing, but they don't do anything.
Right. And you have the Marcus Smart who can really up that defensive game of Memphis.
I mean, he's Dylan Brooks, but whatever.
I don't
really have any like positive about Marcus Smart. I think he's just an average player. Yeah,
it's kind of developed into that. And even as a shooter with Boston, you saw that he was clearly outshot by Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Yeah. It is what it is. And even your other guys from the bench who have come up and were shooters for the Celtics,
Brogdon,
same thing.
Derek White, like
exactly.
Marcus Smart didn't have a spot anymore.
Exactly.
And it's so weird to me that like a guy like him, they got Kristaps Porzingis out of that.
Absolutely.
I'm like, why doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah, and that's where a lot of people really talked about the growth, the maturity, the high scoring of Porzingis. It's especially what they need, especially with a guy like Robert Williams, who is that kind of player, but man, he's had really rough injuries with his knee.
And he can't shoot.
Exactly.
Like, Porzingis can
got
shoot. A spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So he will more than likely leapfrog Robert Williams then. And that would even help Robert Williams for his overall health of being that backup center.
Because now he can split more minutes with Al Horford.
And Al Horford's on the team. And even Al Horford is a strong forward.
Right.
I mean, I know he can kind of move into that center spot, but having these multiple guys on the floor and having Horford play forward would be excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
that's how it goes.
Exactly.
Man, look how cool that No Debate Sports looks behind.
Yeah. How about that No Debate Sports logo? And
I mean, it's a little dark though.
It is a little dark. We'll definitely play around with our backgrounds moving forward. Instagram folk, you're just seeing what we got for a studio so far, and we'll definitely be making this better and interesting moving forward.
We got some.
But what comments we got going on Instagram Live?
It's just a bunch of joins.
Okay.
And stuff.
Okay.
We can wave.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I mean, hopefully everyone's enjoying what we're putting out here so far.
Weber
you got
State.
Anything? Oh, there we go. We got Weber State. Yep, Weber State for Dame Lillard. Thank you, James.
Is Lehigh? Is that where CJ went? CJ McCollum?
CJ McCollum. I could not tell you where CJ McCollum went to college. I do remember back in like about 10 years ago, Lehigh did upset Duke. That might have been a CJ McCollum if you're right about that. So.
Does anyone have any questions about any basketball scenario?
Yeah, any basketball stuff.
I know there's some Chris Middleton fans out there.
Yep. So we got that. We haven't even touched the surface of the NFL.
Oh, man.
And there's some very interesting NFL stuff going on, especially today when it comes to gambling. There was some big movement on players getting suspended for gambling actually on the game. So you saw multiple Colts players. And to me, the biggest one, there wasn't too many big names out of it, but there was an offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans. And to me, the thing that the Tennessee Titans hang their hat on is their elite offensive line.
Yeah.
It is great for run blocking, great for pass protection. And now you're starting to weaken a little bit of the momentum for a guy like Derrick Henry to bust through the line. And your guy that you like and the guy I like, I saw him play in the Cotton Bowl game against what's his name? That our first pick in next year's draft from Southern Cal, Caleb Williams, Tajay Spears, and out of Tulane. That's a guy, man. That is a perfect flash and dash compliment to Derrick Henry that Tajay Spears brings. And people say Tajay Spears is playing really, really well in camp.
You never know.
You never know.
The touches got to be split a little bit. I mean, Derrick Henry, they've given him this big contract, so they don't.
Yes.
They shouldn't just run him into the ground.
I can tell you from the playoff game they lost against the Bengals, that is clearly the intention. That is clearly intention. When you had Deontay Foreman averaging over 15 yards a carry against the Bengals that went to the Super Bowl that year, and yet you still had your Mike Vrabel head coach saying, nope, I want to go with the guy, Derrick Henry, who is a great name, but has a really serious foot injury and can't run 15 yards a carry like Deontay Foreman could. So that's where I know they will run Derrick Henry into the ground, unfortunately. And I like the guy. He's a great guy. I speaking of gambling, I put down both myself and my mother put down $20 bets the year that he went down middle of the season. That was going to pay out over $1,000.
Oh, nice.
So Derrick Henry, phenomenal talent, still a guy that maybe, I mean, with all these things going on with health and offensive line kind of changing a little bit, I would definitely be a little bit concerned with him if I draft him in the first round of a draft. I just feel like, and in today's day and age of how you want to draft fantasy running backs, I feel like you can get them later. So, and where did Chris Middleton go to?
We've got a basketball question.
We do have a basketball question.
Do you think re-signing Chris Middleton is a good decision or the worst idea in Bucks franchise history?
Wow, that's pretty strong right there.
It is. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
What you got, Triggs?
It's a good idea if the price is right.
Oh, there you go.
And I don't know if anything just came out because obviously we're live, so I can't look at anything.
Yep.
But if free agency starts tomorrow. If it's like 20 to 25 million a year,
right,
then I'm in. But I did a.
But he already opted out of 40.
Yeah.
So is he going to take less?
If you stretch out the years, maybe if you give him 4 years at 25.
But isn't he looking at multiple? Like he's looking at what in his mind? I think he thinks he can get 4 years at 50.
Oh no, there's no way.
Okay,
absolutely no way.
Do you think he can get 4 years at 40 or what?
30 plus and injured.
Yeah,
and he was only averaging like 15 a game.
Yeah,
nah.
Yeah.
If that happens, I will
go 25 in 5 years.
Like 4, maybe 4.
Okay. Well, how many years would he have been guaranteed with the 40 million contract?
Just one more.
Oh, it was just.
Oh,
it was like option. So it's like a franchise tag in the NFL.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So that is very interesting.
Maybe 30. I might. So when I did a mock trade for Dame Lillard.
Sure.
Which will probably come out soon.
Okay. Got some content coming out from DJTRIGGS.
Chris Middleton, I put him at 33 million.
Okay.
A year, and moved him for Dame Lillard.
Okay.
I pushed. I want to say it was him and Grayson Allen.
Sure.
Because you got to make
that's
the money
more than
match.
likely. Yeah, you got to make the money match. You got to make the skill set match. I mean, if you're bringing in a guy like Dame Lillard, just regardless of the money, you're thinking at least 2 for 1.
Yeah.
It is at least going to be a 2 for 1. The whole Rudy Gobert thing, and like you said, that really skewed the whole dealing of players in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Similar to like the NFL with quarterback contracts, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So
Middleton just bugs me.
Right.
Even talking Middleton,
I mean, I've liked the guy, man. I really feel he is essential to the Bucks offense to score.
Nope.
But they
Javon Carter was doing a great job with Middleton out. And then Middleton comes back. Javon Carter goes to the bench, does not play anymore.
Yes.
And our defense went shoo.
And that's the whole Mike Budenholzer of, hey, I'm just going to play my guys, regardless of how talented that whole roster is. And it is a talented roster. And your phone went blue. Yeah, and that was pretty interesting. Oh, that's it. Okay. All right. But so you still got your eyes on your Instagram.
Even with Mike Budenholzer just drives me insane.
Right.
Javon Carter is now opted out, and he's probably not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him play a lot back at West Virginia, and man, the way that style of Bob Higgins defense and just West Virginia zone oppressive defense, I love that kind of style, and Bucks absolutely need that. I don't think you can say his name anymore. I know he's
some naughty stuff.
Yeah, he's been some not so good stuff, but that. Like when it comes to what we've seen in college basketball on defense, obviously the West Virginias, the Syracuses, and the Rick Pitino's, Louisville's, and Iona's of the world, and Kansas State's, they really hang their hats on defense. So a guy like Javon Carter coming from those systems, even Marcus Smart, who I don't remember fully where he went to school too.
Oklahoma State.
Oh, Oklahoma State. That's right. I saw that. Yeah, sorry. Oklahoma State. Exactly.
I gave you a face.
Hey, I needed that, man. I needed that. But yeah, like these guys, like, man, you can just tell instantly with what they do in college, playing that full defensive game, still being able to score. They are vital pieces to your team.
You know what's crazy? Marcus Smart was like a number one scorer in college. And
wow.
I never thought of anything about defense when I saw him play.
Did he play at all cross paths with Cade Cunningham?
No, way before.
Okay, way before. Gotcha. Okay.
Because Smart's been in the league like a handful.
Yeah, I was saying about a handful of years of Marcus Smart's been in the league.
And Cade's what, 2?
Oh yeah. That was Cade Cunningham's second year last season.
Yeah.
So now we're going into year 3, and we'll see what those Pistons can do, man. That's a team I like.
You know what drives me insane? Chris Middleton.
Yeah, exactly. You said it once before, you can say it again.
Like with even like. Oh, now we're on Bucks talk. Like,
I guess so.
But like, I feel like the way Budenholzer coached messed up the entire team. Like,
absolutely.
I did hear like Jay Crowder might come back, which we gave away like 5 second-round picks for a dude.
Yeah,
and then we didn't play him anymore.
That's awful.
And the dude's a 3-and-D wing. Literally, that's his job.
Yes. He's always been great at it.
To stop guys like Jimmy Butler.
And yes, he has great defense, great shooting. And that's what I really wondered too. Like when it came to like the Bucks offense 2 years ago, thriving, winning that NBA championship, do you feel like, I feel that was more on the hat of the head coach of the Lakers now.
Oh, Darvin Ham.
I feel that was really, I couldn't tell who was most implemental on operating that offense. So I feel it was Darvin Ham now that we look at it.
The thing about the Bucks, and it's been this way for like 10 years at least, if they're hitting threes, nobody in the NBA can stop them.
Sure.
But there's times, and like literally like 4 or 5 games in a row where they hit no threes.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, but this is the best 3-point shooting team in the entire NBA.
Yep.
And now they can't, they're hitting like 20%.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, and the team is built the right way. I mean, even Chris Middleton's a 3-point shooter.
Yep.
Drew Holiday gets on his streaks, but they bring in Pat Connaughton, Javon Carter, Jay Crowder, Grayson Allen, Brook Lopez. Like, every one of those guys shoots threes.
They do.
And Giannis just does his thing, kicks out when necessary. Like, everyone talks about Jokic averaging, 10 assists a game. Giannis could easily average 10 assists a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But guys miss a lot.
They do.
Like, a lot. There'll be games where Grayson Allen is like 1 for 8, but then 3 games later, he's like 5 for 5, and you're like, oh, there we go.
Right. Yeah, you got your Duke Grayson Allen right back at you.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, going back to like Carlos Delfino.
Okay.
Delfino.
Okay.
But like, we had guys that were shooting threes way back then, and then we just go cold.
Right.
And like, if you look at Miami, right? Miami, it wasn't always Jimmy Butler, but like Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson.
Yes.
Like, they would go on fire. Like, I remember there was one game where he hit like 9 threes and only missed like 1 shot.
Yep.
And it's like,
he did it at Michigan, man.
Can we get one of those guys?
Yes.
Like Milwaukee? Like,
yeah, like you really got to find one of these guys and, man, develop them. And like, it took a while for Duncan Robinson to get there, but his overall game and his pure ability to shoot like he did at Michigan really showed up in his pro career with the Heat once it took a little while. But even for him to get into the lineup, Miami has pretty much had a strong lineup. So it's not all on Duncan Robinson of not being able to get there. It's just the nature of the beast. You have a really good lineup. You have a great roster. You have great ownership. It takes time to weave in those pieces and really grow and flourish like a flower.
That's the big part about Chris Middleton. That's the thing that bugs me the most. This guy averages 20 points a game. And when you look at the end of the season, you look at his stat sheet, you look at box scores, you're like, whoa, what? 25
it looks good.
This is awesome.
Team USA basketball right there.
Then you look at each individual game, and it's like 5, 35, 10, 30. Well, that average is 20.
Exactly. Exactly. And wheeling that back to all our fantasy football people out there who we're getting there, folks. But that is how our fantasy tracker works, is the bona fide number metric. So you want to see that kind of bona fide consistency out of Chris Middleton.
Yes.
And where the average is showing you good points, it's not telling you the true story, because a Chris Middleton can't just be good to above average. He needs to be bona fide elite.
Right.
He has to be. It needs to be Giannis. And if Giannis isn't having his night, it needs to be Middleton.
And that's the problem.
That's exactly the problem.
That's why I've been like pushing to get him traded for the last 5 years. Yes, we won a championship. He had a really good run.
He
had a really good run.
Yep.
But those games that he wasn't, Giannis was putting up 50.
Sure.
So like, it's like, oh, okay.
Yes.
And Drew Holiday was putting up 15 to 20. And that's what you need. You need a second star.
Right.
Drew Holiday, I mean, to be honest, he took kind of a pay cut.
Absolutely.
And he's a team first guy.
Yeah, even in Detroit, team first, team centric.
Playing defense. Like
the best defense you can play. I mean, you're literally, when I watch him play, Drew Holiday is essentially Dwayne Wade on defense.
Okay.
His ability to spot the ball, that like, it's a very innate, very rare mindset that your intelligence of being a defensive oriented player is just on an astronomical plane. It's totally different what that Drew Holiday does.
And that's like the biggest part of Middleton is like just consistency. And that's why, like, if we could move him for Dame Lillard, like, do you know how crazy that sounds?
Right.
Like, Dame Lillard consistently gives you 30 a game.
Yes.
Now, I wouldn't expect him to give us 30, but I know he can give us 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
And every single night, you're going to get 20.
And if he's not getting 30, you want that 30 and those extra 10 points you're not getting to definitely come from someone else or a combination that you can consistently rely on.
And now think about it.
Yep.
Double team Dame Lillard.
Are they really going to do that, though?
It's impossible.
Okay.
And now you have Giannis. Double team Giannis. Build a wall.
Sure.
Dame Lillard.
Exactly.
Like, no one's afraid of Chris Middleton off the dribble. Like, his handle is solid.
Right.
But, like, unless he gives you his turnaround fade on the baseline, it's Right. And I feel this kind of comes back to the last few years where you started to hear the talk of Chris Paul possibly being on Milwaukee, but it never developed. I think a guy like Dame Lillard, who's used to playing in Portland, a smaller market, Dame Lillard could easily thrive in San Antonio, or you could thrive in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is more established, very excellent roster. I think that is more appealing at the moment, but now the Milwaukee Bucks are getting to the point where, like, you need to show it. You need to consistently show that, hey, you can keep this ride moving just like the Spurs did back in their heyday. Because I know Dame Lillard, like, to go off on a different tangent here, and then we'll answer that question. Because
we got you, James. We see you.
Like, everyone keeps talking about him to Miami. Well, how are you going to do that? First off, I mean, Kyle Lowry's making $20+ million, and he's an expiring contract, which is fine.
I think he's going to go.
But, like, if you send him and Tyler Hero, Is that enough for Dame Lillard?
No. Well, I'll tell you flat out, just moving forward, and you got to think of this more of like a dynasty, like fantasy setting of, hey, if I can keep, honestly, like if I'm looking at the future of the Miami Heat and I'm just looking future players in general, and I know the archetype, I will invest more in Tyler Hero than Dame Lillard right now at this point, because I know what I'm going to get out of Tyler Hero. I'm going to get a player that has truly grown and developed and has excellent shooting. I know I'm going to get longer amount of time out of him than Dame Lillard at that elite level.
But this injury could bog him down.
Yeah, you break a hand, that's no joke.
No,
that is, and now that it's a shooting hand, which he broke it, and then he hit a 3-point shot immediately after breaking it, and then that was it.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
And that's the crazy part about Miami is, like, who can they trade? Because that's not enough. Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and some picks. That makes
that might not be enticing.
No, it's really not. And now you can pair up, Tyler Hero with Scoot Henderson, but they're kind of the same player.
Right.
And so the reason why you get rid of Dame is because they're the same player. But Chris Middleton, sending him for Dame Lillard, he's not the same player.
Okay.
Chris Middleton's been playing off ball his entire time with Giannis.
Okay.
So, like, I'm telling you, that makes perfect sense. You put Scoot Henderson to the 1, probably bring in like Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton with the trade. At the 2, that's a starting quality guard.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton at the 3.
Sure.
Then you still have Nurkic and what's the old boy that played for Detroit for a long time? Oh, it's gonna kill me. Power forward.
Power forward for Detroit, maybe like Chauncey Billups?
No. Chauncey Billups is a point guard.
Oh, he's a point guard.
Like in the last year or two, because they just traded him there.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
But literally, they have a starting lineup.
Okay.
So like,
yeah, they got
bugs me. But
they got guys.
Football.
Hey, football.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks. We know you waited for it. We
What's the worst
appreciate
contract in Wisconsin history before we go to football?
Yeah, real quick. I don't know who Tony Mandarich.
Yes.
I don't know who that is.
Really?
I don't know who that is.
He was supposed to be like the greatest player ever, and the Packers drafted him, I want to say 2nd overall.
Well, then that's probably going to be it.
But his contract wasn't bad, though. It was just the worst pick.
All right. So if I'm going contract, there might be something to Middleton. There might be something to Christian Yelich.
Actually, he is on fire right now.
Okay.
He's batting like 277.
Hey, Yelich, there you go, man. You're good. You're good. So then the Mandarich one, you're good. Actually, the Jordan Love one I like as well, because
I do like it.
They essentially had to renegotiate in a way to wait and see, but also retain. So that's where you're in this awkward situation of, we don't feel good enough. I mean, essentially your 5th-year option is basically the equivalent of a franchise tag or a player option, like you talked about in the NBA. It's a ton of money. Yeah, come on, wake up, Triggs. Triggs, we got like 15 more minutes. We got to make it, man. We got to make it. I know. So
that smoke's killing me.
Oh man, yeah. There's been some pretty tough smoke out here in the Midwest. So yeah, I hope everyone else is doing all right with that, because Triggs here, not so hot with that, I tell you. So, but yeah, going back to Jordan Love, man, I'm definitely seeing the ability of him. And go back, check us out on our YouTube page. You're going to see this really cool Jordan Love breakdown promo. Even your TikTok folk out there, thank you for viewing that. 1,000 views on the Jordan Love video. Really cool stuff. The interesting thing I caught on Twitter the other day is that the most effective play on offense in the NFL, take a guess what it was, Triggs.
Is it the play action?
No. Think of even simpler.
Option?
You're close.
Okay.
It was the quarterback scramble. The quarterback scramble was the most effective play on offense in 2022. So your guys that can scramble when a play truly breaks down, and what's the beauty of that is that every player beyond the quarterback is covered. So the coverage is all essentially at that point, it is all man coverage everywhere across the board, across the line and across the secondary. Essentially a play breaks down and it's man coverage. And then your few linebackers, maybe your safety, they're the ones who have the zone concept going in their mind at that point in time. And now you have 10 to 15 yards of pure open space.
Yeah.
So a guy who is as mobile as Jordan Love is clearly going to thrive. The Kenny Pickett's of the world. You can see that video as well.
You're just plugging everything.
I'm plugging everything. But I'm telling you, that's where I'm a little bit concerned about the guys like the Desmond Ritters and the Dak Prescotts of the world, where do they have that ability to truly take off? Even a Joe Burrow. We saw Joe Burrow take off, and the way he does it is it's very Tom Brady-esque. Basically, a play breaks down, and he scrambles straight up the pipe. Well, how long are you going to do this until your guys like a Jonathan Abram start hawking you and start figuring it out that, hey, we know he's going to take off. We're going to light him up. And do you slide in time or do you slide too early and you don't get the first down kind of thing? That's where you need that mobility of a guy like Jordan Love, your Daniel Joneses of the world, your Trevor Lawrences, and especially the one who now I'm really, after seeing this, starting to jog my mind, a guy like a Justin Fields. That's a guy that, man, you want to see a guy scramble and do the craziest things on offense last year. He had a sack for like 15 yards, which turned out into a 70-yard touchdown. Scramble, a pure scramble. So that's what we're looking at. And speaking of these scrambly kind of quarterbacks, even a Patrick Mahomes is out there. And we put this poll out there on all of our social platforms where we were kind of getting a little bit matrixy of thinking a little bit of a red pill, blue pill of, hey, do we want to go with our Giants, the blue pill, for everyone to see, or do we want to go with the Chiefs, the red pill? And I'll give you the option, Triggs. When you're looking at these players, who do you like? Do you like the Chiefs variety of players, or do you like the Giants variety of players?
Clearly the Chiefs.
Okay.
They have the top tight end.
They absolutely do.
Pretty dope.
Look at that guy. Look at that. That's a goal line Beely Bopper right there, I tell you.
They have the top tight end.
Okay.
And they have the top quarterback. I mean,
ish. I will clearly debate you on that.
Okay.
And I will clearly show you with bona fide numbers that is not the case.
I'm just saying in general.
Sure.
Everyone loves Patrick Mahomes.
Everyone loves Patrick Mahomes to the point they gave him 2 Super Bowls, I tell you. They did.
That's how it works.
Yep.
Now, I mean, MVS is pretty solid. Kadarius Toney, pretty solid.
Yep.
Sky Moore could
Yeah. Yep.
That Sky name is pretty cool.
It is. And his ability to do the things similar to a Christian Watson kind of style, just spin on a dime, take off, make those big time catches outside. Absolutely has that.
All 3 of those guys are just top notch speed.
They are. They are speed.
So, yeah, you lose 1 Tyreek Hill, but you get 3 speedy dudes.
Right. You absolutely do. And on top of that, they also have a player coming back who I saw in college in 2017, played with Trevor Lawrence. Another reason why, when it comes to just total quarterbacks in general, what you're looking at in fantasy, I would feel the most confident, most consistent, most bona fide. I'd go with the Trevor Lawrence, because going back to college and going to your point with the Chiefs, another guy that's still on the roster, still up and coming, but has major setbacks, Justin Ross. When I saw Justin Ross play in college, I kid you not, this guy, in my eyes, would be the greatest receiver ever. This guy would essentially be a hybrid of Keyshawn Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, and then something like almost Anquan Bolden-ish.
Wow.
So you have this weird variety of twitch, size, breakout speed, and crazy pass catching ability. But unfortunately for Justin, one of those times he caught those passes definitely resulted in him having a severe spinal injury. And he lost significant time, but was selected by Kansas City last season. So I'm really glad to see that guy rise. And that would be a true weapon if he can get anything close to what he did at Clemson, would, to me, become Patrick Mahomes' best wide receiver and most consistent wide receiver that you know he can count on.
So if you don't know at home, Steve Metrics always finds a player on every team that nobody knows who they are.
Nobody.
but for some reason they come out and ball.
Zay Jones, you're our guy. I'm telling you, man, when we do more Jacksonville Jaguar talk, I'm telling you, Zay Jones was my guy. Previous year had not a single bona fide number at all. But yet in the games we saw with the Raiders, he had very strong games where I could see him advance his career like Grayson Allen with the Bucs. I could just see this player develop. And I knew when he had an opportunity to go with Jacksonville, all you got to do is beat out Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is great in his own right, but when it comes to speed and size, now we're talking Justin Ross. We are talking that player archetype of the lanky Keyshawn Johnson playmaking ability. Zay Jones has that. And I found that with him. And that's why I'm going to go with my blue pill selection here. And check this out. This is our little New York Giants Beely Boppers we got going on here with these guys. And I'm going to go with the players that I like on the Giants, who I know I'm not going to have to invest real capital in. I might even get a really good compensation of Saquon Barkley and maybe the end of round 2, maybe the end of round 3 of my fantasy draft. And then if it's middle of the draft, if you got something weird, you could always go with Daniel Jones. But then towards the back end, now you're looking at tight ends of like Darren Waller. And you know that even going back to the Jaguars, they've been looking at replacing what they lost in Evan Ingram. That really hurt the Giants. But let's go to the receiving side, right? So you look at our fantasy depth tracker, you're going to see that my guy, Mikael Hodgins, not a single ounce of draft capital do you have to spend on a guy like that. And he's your number 1 receiver on the New York Giants. He's from the Brian Dable, Buffalo Bill establishment before he came to the Giants. You have an excellent guy that you don't have to invest in. And you get that awesome Jalen Hyatt, big time receiver out of Tennessee. Tennessee was the best team in the country last season out of the SEC until they ran into Georgia.
Okay.
They ran into him.
Mikael Hodgins.
Yeah, Mikael Hodgins. He even beat out Darius Slayton, and I had Slayton, and you had Saquon Barkley, but I had Slayton, and I could see that transition already happening, just like you saw in Minnesota with KJ Osborne really taking over Adam Thielen. You can feel that changing of the guard, and that's exactly what's going on with the Giants. But now does a guy like Jalen Hyatt even supersede Darius Slayton? Because Hyatt is a wide out. He's not a slot receiver yet. So that's where I like these guys. But when it comes to the receivers, the other guys that I could get outside of Hodgins, are they worth it? And do they have the playing time? Do they have the volume? That's where I'm a little concerned. But I like what you get there.
Sleeper alert.
Sleepers. We got plenty of them, and we'll probably have to do something more about that.
Man.
Exactly.
Like, it basically what he's saying is, Mikael Hodgins, go get him.
Yep. The cool thing that we want to talk more about when it comes to really learning about your fantasy football teams is you really want to put up front, you want to put the loaded players that you know that are just flat out loaded and you can get. But on the back end of your draft, you want those players that have upside and you can roll the dice on. And you know that, hey, if they hit, like my Zay Jones hit, and for me, even on defense, I knew that I would get Philadelphia Eagles in round 12. And I did. And they essentially carried the value of another quarterback on your team. So you want to hit those guys with upside, hit those guys you don't have to invest in, that you know you can pretty much get. But then if you got to go a little harder on the guys at the front of your draft who are hard-hitting, bona fide players, that's what you want, man. You want those bona fide players.
He punches his fist really hard.
Exactly. Bona fide, man. That's where it's at. So
I don't know. That sounds ridiculous.
It does sound pretty ridiculous. I mean, I'm telling you, I think that's pretty good stuff.
But what he was telling you about, we do have polls going on Facebook, Instagram,
yep,
and TikTok. No Debate Sports. Very easy to find. It's No DB8 Sports.
Huh. And you're seeing us on YouTube right now. Be sure to click, subscribe, like, check out all our content. We got plenty out there. Anything more NBA-ish?
If you're not following us on the YouTube. What is wrong with you?
Hey, we need you. We need that support. And yeah, there's always more content coming out. We got 2 videos a week covering the NBA. We got 2 videos a week covering the NFL. And you got us here live. And we're probably thinking of doing a second live segment. Exactly, like mind blown. We are in the process of doing maybe our second live segment. We're thinking maybe Tuesdays. Ooh. Yeah, so we got our Thursday segment, like those of you have been seeing with us now, and following that up with Tuesdays, especially with that NFL season right around the corner, you know?
We do got a long way to go before the NFL season. First preseason games aren't even until August, so that's kind of weird.
But with the content we're rolling out, it's going to hit fast, and you want to be ready. You stay up to date with us, you're going to be in the most ready position. And there's something we're going to be showing soon. You can kind of find it on our site, but there's something we're really going to be showing you to the masses with me, DJ Triggs, and our third member of the crew, who you really don't see much of outside of a little bit on Twitter. You'll see him on the site.
He is definitely on Twitter.
Exactly. But that is the next iteration of what we're going into. And I'm telling you, it's going to be wild. And it's going to make you building your fantasy football team, no matter what your format, whether it's standard, whether it's PPR, whether it's best ball, whether it's dynasty, you're going to make yourself a better fantasy football manager with what you see with us and with that super secret guy we're going to be rolling out in the coming weeks.
He will be here. Wait, is he a he?
Yes, it's a robot.
Why would you tell him it's
a robot? I'm sorry, guys. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
Hey, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, No Debate Sports, NO DB8 SPORTS.
I'm Steve Metrics.
Wait a minute. I almost did it again.
Uh-oh.
It's your boy, DJ Triggs.
And you know what? That's no debate.
It's true.
We'll see you next time.
Peace. Oh, how do we stop things?